political party leaders here present, the media, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. By the grace of God, we are done collating the parliamentary results of Akwatia constituency by-election. Here are the votes cast. Solomon Asumedu had 15,235 votes. Bernard Bediakun Bedu of NDC had 18,199. Ousu Patrick LPG had 82 votes. I repeat, Asumedu Solomon NPP had 15,235. Bernard Bediakun NDC had 18,199. Ousu Patrick LPG had 82 votes. Total valid votes 33,516. Total rejected ballots 303. Total vote cast 33,819. With the figures mentioned so far, Director, with your permission, I, Eric,
Thank you. The Jamal was wonderful.
Political party leaders here present, the media, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. By the grace of God, we are done collating the parliamentary results of Akwatia constituency by-election. Here are the votes cast. Solomon Asumedu had 15,235 votes. Bernard Bediakun Bedu of NDC had 18,199. Ousu Patrick LPG had 82 votes. I repeat, Asumedu Solomon NPP had 15,235. Bernard Bediakun NDC had 18,199. Ousu Patrick LPG had 82 votes. Total valid votes 33,516. Total rejected ballots 303. Total vote cast 33,819. With the figures mentioned so far, Director, with your permission. I, Eric.
The only issue is the gap. How big a gap we are going to give our opponents. I want a big gap. I want a big gap. I want all of you to come out. I want a big gap. We want to beat them well. The only issue is the gap. How big a gap we are going to give our opponents. I want a big gap. I want a big gap. I want all of you to come out. I want a big gap. We want to beat them well. The
MPP will be very slim. The margin will not be tight. We'll win. I'm telling you what we have done. We have engaged. We have pain that has not happened before. We have done.
We go to Taman. What extent is the NDC willing to sit in Parliament? Is it?
Bayfi constituency. We are not accepting it. He must.
The issue is the gap. How big a gap we are going to give our opponents. I want a big gap. I want a big gap. I want all of you to come out. I want a big gap. We want to beat them well. The only issue is the gap. How big a gap we are going to give our opponents. I want a big gap. I want a big gap. I want all of you to come out. I want a big gap.
So what about you?
Bashai. Wow, shall we to my lawyer number two. You made me because me do passing and you can't see me so abano passing in sin me do me to abano. Bashai.
Okay. So what about you?
Number two. Dabi. Oh, me do party in sinu. Me makume se metuama. Number 2, lawyer. And who don't see? Yeah, they Anjiska. Na me adumo. Me pachai makoto. Pachai ne makoto. Pacho me to my number 2, lawyer. Oh, Dabi. Because Odam woma Mr. Bernard Bediakono, a strong cry. Because meaning say, Bana Orbano, or Baba Yuge, my papa, or Akwatia mine. Into Odana woman, a strong cry. Into any skating, I made that Swabano. David, I'm not in for the money, but you know, me say, one Akwatia, she never be papa or mine, so because Akwatia bread. She a coin nas, but Mojidi or lawyer Musabana or Bano, or Baba Bama Yaquino, or head, Yakwana Baba Bayama, yeah, it's not Miss Mamuano.
But on Mimian Spiel, but I know dear, but oh, David. Me the love I have for my party into me there. Me in this way, but I me that sing. Eh.
But you're not the moment when but trying.
Okay, so this kind of matter.
Pacho Darby. Or draw me one main this into me to me this car. Pachoing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What do you have?
And I have to abandon. I say, I didn't say, I don't remember.
Come on.
Thank you. The Jamal was wonderful.
Government is broke. But people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for tuning into the show. This is Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. My name is Awudu Moro. Today it's Wednesday, the 3rd of September 2025. And indeed, this is the day the Lord has made. Indeed, we're glad. I want to say a big thanks to the Almighty God for keeping us alive and kicking. We're back again to join the nation's conversation on the big issues that are going around in our dear country, Ghana. So I'll go straight ahead and look at what the newspapers are reporting. Front page of the Daily Graphic. NDC's Bedu elected Akwatia MP. There's Justice Tokonu's removal ignites public reaction. Committee finds her guilty of misbehavior. IGP engages Special Operations Team on Savannah conflict. SDG Advisory Unit, NDPC hosts Ocean Plan Validation Workshop. The Ghanaian Times. Akwatia license from NACOC only, public cautioned. President lifts ban on sale of public lands. There's GWL Kwanyako Headworks risk closure due to high turbidity. Buipa post $45.5 million profit in 2024. Ghana tops global exporters of share in 2023. Daily Guide. NDC's Bedi Akumbedu wins Akwatia's seat. The law is the law. Nation divided over CJ removal. Bahama lifts ban on state land sale. Tokonu removal judicial coup minority. The Insight. Akwatia by election. NDC's lawyer Bedi Akum drowns NPP's Galamsey as Sumedu. And there's Victory Day Parade. China's commemorations a call for world peace. Over 10,000 pages of evidence reviewed by the committee before axe fell on CJ. AG ordered to terminate Pualugu Dam contract over rampant Bagri Dam spillage disaster. Kiddy Eye Care Day, third eye care screens over 2,500 children, distributes 1,898 glasses. And there's also executive interference in judiciary dangerous precedent, lawyer Kwesi Botre. The Herald. How EcoBank Ghana caused Chief Justice Tokonu's fall. Ex-CJ Sophia Kufu stripped by her two landmark rulings, caught two-tongued in Tokonu's impeachment. TikTok women weep in court over offensive conduct against Mahama. NDC's lawyer Bedi Akum snatches Akwatia's seat from his Galamsey client, Apenyo Marking and Azoka in political shadowboxing at Akwatia by election. The Inquisitor, ugly happening, mischief in MPP against Baumia and Napo. Evron Hughes, others sued over land at Ibri, injunction on defendants. GSA safeguards cocoa export freight rates for 2025-2026. Accra hosts the ESES Africa Regional Meeting on solar. The Daily Statesman, Chief Justice dismissal unfair. Justice Sophia Kufu likens process to treason trial. Ghana's democracy in peril, all power to King Mahama. Dr. Sidi Ulta charts bold reform agenda as new AFDB president. Azoka threatens minority leader. The Accra Times. Boosting food security and nutrition in Northern Savannah Ecological Zone. Eric Opoko secures $20 million grant. Lord's ADB. Inspire young leaders. Butsa women tasked. Ghana, a good destination for business, GIPC boss tells investors. NPA launches Gaso service station in Ashaiman. NPA wins 2025 Energy Sector Agency Award. The Ghanaian Publisher. NDC wins Akwatia by election. CJ's removal branded Ghana's day of shame. Chief Justice's removal. Sophia Kufu calls process a rigmarole. Bahama lifts ban on state land sales. The Custodian. President must release report on CJ's removal process. Lawyer. CJ Tokonu sacked. King Mahama now controls judiciary. Minority. President lifts ban on sale of state lands. Gold price hits record high. Petition not strong enough to warrant Tokonu's removal. Sophia Ekufu. The Informer. On Chief Justice Aikwe to reject grounds for removal. NPP standard bearer raised Akwatia poo-poo's wealth theory. Acquisition of a cannabis license that's NACOC wants public. And as president must not appoint CJ to strengthen judicial independence. Kwebu, Jean Mensah, deputies face removal. Vastidon predicts sale of state, public lands. Mahama gives green light. You also have the Daily Searchlight. State lands acquisition. Double speak Mahama targets NPP reign but claims it is not political. And also, Tokonu's removal was unnecessary, a sign of political and national lack of maturity. Jan Kujo supports 400 graduates with data cash. NDC and lawyer Bernard Bediako win Akwatia. And there's also Banana Republic, Tokonu's removal, Erigmaro, Sophia Ekufu. Metro Lens, JM removes Tokonu, Ghana's democracy in peril. All power to President Mahama. Akwatia's seat flips. NDC Bernard Bedu takes Akwatia from MPP. And there's an editorial, a dividend of leadership celebrating SHC's revival. Musa Dankwa's prediction of a 53% win for NDC rings true. And the Business and Financial Times. Mofa moves to address palm oil production shortfall, and Esclarbi Atta assumes office as CEO of GIPS. DVLA says 60% revenue growth target, vows crackdown on corruption. India forges brain bridge to tackle shared economic challenges. The Telisa launches SME Month 2025 to champion youth-led businesses. So that's it for the front pages of the newspapers we have this morning. Please check out what's on Metro News Online. Watch this.
Hello, my friends. My name is Kelkit's Toothpaste. Wow. I was made to be gentle on your gum, but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger, chicky whiter, chicky stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kelkits, happy smile.
In life, choice is good, but choice plus safety is way better. Your safety and comfort is paramount. Under the cylinder recirculation model, you can buy LPG in a safe environment All cylinders are inspected and maintained to the best safety standards, so your safety is assured. Just take your empty cylinder to the nearest exchange point and swap it for a filled cylinder. Different cylinder sizes will be available to meet your pocket size. Imagine cooking in a smoke-free environment. This will improve the health and well-being of you and your family. Choose LPG in a safer model of distribution. Cylinder recirculation model, securing your safety, creating more jobs. A message from the National Petroleum Authority under the patronage of the Ministry of Energy.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson,
Me didn't tum Mr. Frammy Calico, just call me cockroach.
Now, Mr. Frammy once now.
Hey, that's a new. Improve car. Yeah. Captain Mosquito, double the accent. Me did this sasso spray. Mr. Frammy sasso quell. Yeah, go to my sasso.
Come tum preko.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa, dear. Why wouldn't he be late? Or being late, of course.
Coffee be the luckiest. Coffee from Georgia be luckiest. From not the block, she be luckiest. Me and you coffee be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go be that luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Send your God the apple boom. If you're poor, what's that to you? So would the coming of the Son of Man be. Hey! Is that his car? Everywhere.
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
You're live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. My name is Awudu Moro, and let me also say that the show is also live on 94.1 FM. As I keep saying, if you want an alternative in case you can't watch the show on TV, because for whatever reason you have the alternative channel, which is 94.1 FM. I've had some people call me to ask me what's the name of the radio station. I tell them that just keep it as such. It's 94.1 FM, at least for now, until further notice. But what I can assure you is that it's very, very clear. It's crystal clear, very, very audible. It's probably has probably the best sound, radio sound in town. But my guests are here, and they're seated. Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr. is a statesman and a journalist. He's joined us this morning. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Thank you, sir.
It's always a pleasure to have you join us on Good Morning Ghana. And also, there's a man here who hasn't been with us in a very, very long time, for whatever reason. And I'm sure that today he'll tell us why. But he's joined us today for the show. And I'm talking about a man, Issa Hussein. He's the former MP for Okaikwe North. And he's here with us. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Moro.
Alaji.
It's...
very
well.
You have to learn the Hausa language.
No, I speak Hausa.
You speak it?
Yeah.
Very fluently?
Oh, yeah, I mean...
Really?
Yeah.
As fluent as Ga?
No, Ga is my first language.
Okay.
So it's a different...
Because when time was Jinka kind of Hausa.
Hausa.
So say. But Hausa soldier, well.
Hausa kwarai. Na koyo Hausa cikin lokacin da nake zuwa makaranta.
Okay. Na gaje makaranta?
Of course, I mean.
Na wani ya suna?
An swari din daga Abeka.
Okay.
Yes. Ni yaron Abeka ne, Abeka na tashi. Abeka aka haife ni.
No, actually, shi na tambayin sunan makarantan.
An swari din.
Oh, an swari din. Okay. I see. How is it? We're not doing anything untoward. I just asked him whether he speaks.
You should recollect that he is not alien.
He speaks a lot of languages. Understands, a few more. Anyway, so let's get on. But it's been a while, and their whole family, everybody's fine.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Electoral hibernation. I live in the middle of the constituency. I still live there. Yeah. So I'm in touch. I mean, once an MP, you still have a few things to do. I mean, the party needs to be held. The party needs to be run. And give ourselves a good chance in the next election. So we never stop doing politics. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So where do you stand? DMB, Ken, Brian?
Oh, I am DMB in and out. I mean, I've always been DMB, and I'm still DMB, and I'll forever be DMB, I think so, until he decides not to run for elections. I am convinced that at this material moment, he stands and he gives our party the best shot in elections 2028, and I think that we should all rally behind him for a good chance at elections 2028.
But why DMB?
Why DMB? DMB has been marketed once already. I mean, he's already a household name across the nation. We're not starting from scratch unless he has something to build on. I'm sure you've heard about the I can't knife slogan.
Right.
The way he pretended to look at me, I can't knife slogan. I believe that in a very difficult elections in 2024, more than 4 people out of every 10 Ghanaians gave him thought that he was a man to lead Ghana. And so going again into an elections, and it's been shown over time that a Ghanaian voter has some likeness for persistence on the ballot paper. And for all those who have put themselves up to lead our party at this material time, he's the person who has been there before. And I think that he stands tall amongst the 5 people who have actually put themselves out to lead the party. Then again, I mean, relative to the people who have put themselves out, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, in the space of 16 years in public life, I mean, he's shown exemplary leadership. I think that the way he's held himself, what he's brought to the table, and I believe that he's brought so much to the vice presidency position, and that we've not seen since 1992, and that's a lot of people who concede to that. I think that DMB has shown a lot of vision. I mean, he's taken on projects that he's been able to run even as a vice president. Given that he becomes the ultimate or the executive president that we run in this nation, I believe that he's going to have a lot of impact on all sectors of our facets of our lives in this country. And I think that at this material moment, On both sides of the political divide, he has experience, he has exposure, and I think that we should give him the opportunity to lead this country in 2028. That is what
now speaking about this, Akana Impe, what makes you believe that the 41% that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia garnered in the last elections is still there, is guaranteed?
I'm saying that in the very difficult elections in 2024, I mean, going into the elections, we as politicians, we believe we're going to win. Besides that, we were reading reports, the EIU reports and other quite credible reports were giving us the outlook in the run up to the elections. Given that sort of situation, he garnered, I say, for every 10 Ghanaians that you see, more than 4 of them thought that even in 2024, he had or he should lead the country. Now, what it means that he has more than 4. What you need is, if one person shifts position, he's home and dry. And that is what we are working at. And so when you say Akana Impe, means that he garnered 41.7% of the votes. What we need is 9% of the voting population to come on his side.
But the question is that 41 still there?
Is it still there? Know it for a fact? That is why I keep saying that in the most difficult elections that we went into, given the cyclical nature of our elections, 8 years in, 8 years out, he still garnered that level of votes. I believe that majority, probably 99% of those who thought that he was a good candidate in 2024 will stick by him. And what we need is another 9%, another 1% shifting position, and we are home and dry. I think that he stands tall. I mean, in 2008, Professor Mills won the elections by the slimmest of margins. I mean, what we need is just one person shifting position, and we are home and dry. That is the thinking behind the Akana Impe.
No elections are the same.
Certainly not.
Yes.
But the Ghanaian voter has shown that candidates who have persisted, who had been repeated on the ballot paper. Professor Mills tried 3 times. President Kufuor did twice. Nana Addo Dankwa did 3 times. If you take the outliers, President Rawlings coming in after he has led the country for over 10 years, and then President Mahama going into his first election as a sitting president, those who have persisted, those who have been repeated on the ballot paper, tend to be favored by the voter. And that is the advantage Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has over the other contenders within the party. If we don't repeat him and we bring a new candidate, it means that we are starting on the scratch. And thankfully, President Mahama has come out to say that he's not going to run whatever happens. He's not going to run in the elections in 2028. It presupposes that the NDC are going to bring a new candidate. And I mean, who has won presidency in Ghana at the first attempt? I mean, President Rawlings' situation is an outlier. Who has won at the first attempt? Nobody has done that before. So for us, we think that we have an advantage. Repeating him as a candidate, his familiarity across the country has been marketed. And I mean, today, if the NDC wants to say anything against the MP, who did they attack? They attack him, and not the other 4 people. Look, everything that they can say about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been said already. What is new? What is new? So we stand in a better state, sticking with him and supporting him through the elections. Look, the NDC showed us. When President Mahama lost elections in 2016, we thought that it was the end of President John Mahama. I don't know whether we underrated him, whether we overrated our victory. I'm not too sure what it is. But the NDC rallied behind him over 2 subsequent elections, and he won on the 3rd attempt. And that is exactly what the New Patriotic Party has to do. After all, we are going to the same market, the same voters, the same characteristics. And so what has changed? Admittedly, there are things that came up in the elections 2024 that for us as a party, as a tradition, the UPPP or the NPP, we have to fix. And those are the reasons why this time we have decided that we need a flag bearer first, and then we can come back, do our internal elections. But then we are giving the flag bearer a much longer time, up to about 3 years, to be able to put the party in a state that will give us a good chance at winning the elections. So exactly that is what I'm sticking with. right. Dr. Mahmoud Bami. I don't think that Uncle Kwesi Pratt deserves a right to speak on this anyway. He's itching too. He's itching too.
You have decided.
I've said mine. I've said mine. You can disagree with me, and that's fine.
No, you decide this person.
No, I'm saying mine. I'm saying mine.
So why do you say that I shouldn't be allowed to?
The way you were itching, the way you were moving,
how was I itching?
Anyway, more. That's my
thing. If you have this attitude, how do you ever hope to win an election? Of gagging people.
This is by the way. This is by the way. This is by the way, man.
This is by the way. It's by the way.
Yes. He said he didn't mean it.
Oh, okay. He just said it.
He just said it. He said it in jest.
So how many things has he said this morning that he didn't mean?
Well, we don't.
This is the only one.
We don't know that.
Yeah?
We don't know that.
At least he admits that this one he said it without meaning it.
Yes.
But he said so many other things. Which ones didn't you mean?
Why are you not having a bite on this matter?
Okay.
How was he?
Master, you see?
Just 9. Only 9.
I can't
only 9.
Hold on. You see, this country has a population, some say, of about 32 million people.
It's actually 35 now.
35.
But the Ghana Statistical Service new.
Of this population, any number that is above 40 years old and is of sound mind has a right to dream about becoming a president. Dreaming about becoming a president is not a problem. Everybody can dream. You understand? Wish to become president. What I think they should avoid is doing voodoo analysis. Because those who do voodoo analysis do not appear to think that we are intelligent enough to read through what they tell us. That's my problem. I mean, dream to become a president, but don't think that we are stupid, because we are not. Okay? Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is a Ghanaian citizen. He's about 40 years old. He's qualified to be president of Ghana on the basis of the constitutional provision and so on. He has a right to dream. But don't tell us that Ghanaians don't vote for first-timers and that Ghanaians are in sympathy or will vote for people who have contested elections before. Let's check the records. Why? Hassan Ayariga. He joined the political race long before Dr. Bawumia. Have we voted him as president? So how do you make that argument? Huh? LPG, Apalu, he was in the race before Mahmoud Bawumia. We have not elected him as president. What kind of argument is that? What kind of reasoning is that? And then go into our history. Why? 1951. Nkrumah won elections as a first-timer. True or false?
True.
Buzia won elections as a first-timer. 1969. You understand? Liman won elections as a first-timer. 1979. Rawlings won elections as a first-timer. 1992, and so on. And we can go on with the list. That's a bad argument. Don't make it. It has no empirical basis. It is voodoo analysis. And don't give us voodoo analysis on this platform. You understand? Now, this whole thing about Akad 9 pet. My brother, you are also saying that you, well-educated, articulate, respected politician, you're also saying Akad 9 pet. What is the basis? What's the empirical basis of that claim? You think that those who voted for you in the last election, Masa, you think that those who voted for you in the last election will continue to vote for you? They won't shift and so on. We've just had the Akwatia by-election. The Akwatia by-election should teach you that the numbers are not static. They move. And even if you expect 9 to change position and join you, it shows a certain movement. You understand? And that movement is not guaranteed because you are a second-timer or third-timer in the polls and so on. It's not. So this Akad 9, I don't know where it's coming from. Very strange. Why? You want to campaign? Stop the sloganeering. Come and tell us what you can do in order to improve the living conditions of the people of this country. Come and tell us the devastated roads that you left behind, what you can do to rehabilitate those roads. You left power at a time that cocoa production had fallen by more than 50%. What are you going to do to revive the cocoa sector? You left power at a time when even as syndicated loans could not be guaranteed. You couldn't get syndicated loans to buy cocoa. Come and tell us what you're going to do about that. You understand? You left power at the time when the city's value had fallen completely. Come and tell us what you will do to revive the value of the city. Come and tell your own party members what is it that you have which Kennedy Japon doesn't have, which Brian Achampon doesn't have. You understand? Which Kobler Japon doesn't have, and so on. That is how you become first presidential candidate and ultimately first presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, and eventually the president of the Republic of Ghana. You don't do that by sloganeering and voodoo analysis and so on. My friend, let's be serious.
Is that? Moro. I think that elections in this country are on stages, and those are internal elections. And whatever we are doing today, the aim is to be able to get to the flag bearership of the New Patriotic Party. Even beyond that, because Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is contested in national elections, his outlook and his vision is out there. What he intends to do about the various sectors are out there. I mean, he led in an election that came out with a manifesto. We sold it to the Ghanaian voters, and they came out with the results. That's fine. Now, what we are doing is internal elections, and if this is what is going to clinch us, I don't see why anybody should have any challenge with it. What we are telling our voters is that, look, last time when Dr. went for the general elections, more than 4 out of every 10 voter thought that he was the right person to lead this nation. This time, he needs to build upon what he was able to garner. Simple. You see, all the people that Uncle Kwesi Pratt mentioned, in Nkrumah's case, I mean, we're running a parliamentary system at the time, similar with Buzia, the Westminster system. It's very different. A lot of people try parliamentary elections, and they win at the first time. And if by the design of the constitution of the time, it makes them prime minister, so be it. Liman's case, I mean, 79 is for us, all of us to say what happened to us, the PFP-UAC thing. I mean, it's there for us to see. And talking about Rawlings had led this nation for over 10 years. He transitioned into democratic governance. And I mean, he went into that election with a huge advantage. Look at the elections in 1992. The New Patriotic Party had barely 3 months. And I mean, Mr. Kwesi Pratt was an integral person within that era. And it's clear that Rawlings transitioning from a military leader to a democratic leader was automatic. He was a phase that we had seen. I was born in 1975, and all that I had seen from the point of when I started growing up until 1992 was Mr. Rawlings. And so it's an outlier. He should give us any other example, somebody winning at the first time. Even President Mahama, he had gone for these elections as a sitting president and had 6 months or so as the president of this nation going into elections in 2012. So it's just what the Ghanaian voter is made of. That is not to say that we are assuming that is the only thing that we believe. I belong to the faction within the NPP that believe that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia should be given another opportunity to build upon what he garnered in 2024. And that's all we are saying at this point.
Massa, you have admitted right now that there are many other factors which will determine who wins elections.
Sure.
You have just admitted that.
Sure.
So I'm happy with you.
Sure.
To come and tell us that because he's contested before, it gives you an advantage, I think it's
But
bad.
that is what the data shows.
Oh, please. What data shows? What data? There are many other factors, and you have admitted, so I'm okay. I'm okay with that. What troubles me is that you claim that in the last elections, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia came up with a manifesto, programs, things that he wanted to do to improve the quality of life of the Ghanaian people and so on. He lost on that. Is that the same program you are bringing? Is that the same program you are bringing? If you are bringing that same program, then go and sleep. Don't try. Because the verdict on that program is clear. I hope you understand what I'm saying. This is the program you brought, and using your words, sold. Who bought it? Not talking about Akana. Akana, it means that you didn't get sufficient numbers to buy that program. Why do you think that program would be bought today? If it was rejected 8 months ago or 9 months ago, why do you think that today people are going to buy that program?
The reason I think that people will buy into it is that, look, there were also other factors that were in play in 2024. Amongst them, parties come in 8 years and they leave after 8 years. That's been the convention, if you want to say that. Parties come in 8 years and they leave at 8 years, and it was 8 years. We were in the second term of a government, and no government has broken the 8. We started by saying we wanted to break the 8. Unfortunately, Ghanaians still think that, look, after 8 years, a new party should come and take the reins of this. It's such a strong factor. It will go against, no matter how palatable, no matter how feasible your policies are. Sometimes people don't even consider that. What they say is, Mukwaya, Mukwaba. That's it. They don't even want to know what is contained in your programs and policies. It went against us, and it was real. We were going into an election and we wanted to break the 8. We knew it was not going to be a walk in the park, right? But we gave it our best shot. But Ghanaians still say, look, that's what we want. And so that is a strong factor going into elections 2024. In 2020, it's not going to be there. It's not going to be there like that. Look, between 2016 and 2020, President Mahama was able to cover about 500,000 votes. He lost elections in 2016 by over 1 million votes. By 2020, within 4 years, he was covering 500,000. And given, I keep saying, and people now are admitting, some of the people who sat on platforms like this, when you mention some of the factors that, or the headwinds that the NPP had to deal with between 2017 and 2024, who will doubt and who will throw sand into it and all of it. Today, they've started admitting it. The difficulty that the government or the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, had to face. I mean, in living memory, it's never happened. Now today, reality, the chicken are coming home to roost. We are facing some of the intricacies. Yes, today we can say, yes, the currency, all of that. It's a result of very difficult decisions that we took. Very difficult decisions. DDEP and all of that, they were very difficult decisions. No, they were not decisions that we ourselves in government were very happy with. But at the time, faced with reality, we needed to do that. And that is what we did. Today, the whole economy, good for oil, you can say whatever you want about it. These were policies that today we are enjoying, and these are policies that is holding our economy today. So Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia himself, his creativity, his humility, his vision, his leadership, I think he stands tall amongst the 5. And I think that Ghanaians have even started appreciating not too long ago that a deputy governor come to admit that some of these policies are building up of our reserves and all of that are what is holding this economy to where it is today. And this is the sort of visionary we are looking at backing to lead our party and to lead our nation.
Master, you see, I have a problem with this attitude. This attitude of some politicians. Please do not ever think that the Ghanaian people cannot identify their interests. The Ghanaian people are not dumb. They know what is in their interest. The election results show that they didn't approve those programs. Unless you want to say that the Ghanaian people are dumb, they don't know what is in their interest. They are so foolish that even when you are acting in their interest, they cannot see it and they will vote against you. That's a horrible position for anybody to take. I believe that the people of Ghana are very intelligent.
I believe so too.
They know what is in their interest. Their vote in elections reflects their true aspirations and a correct evaluation of candidates. So this is about we did our best, we did for Ghana, and the people didn't see it, and the people voted against. Please stop it.
I didn't say that.
Because it is insulting.
I didn't say that. Those are your words.
It is very
I didn't
insulting.
say that. So those are your words. I'm going to say I didn't say that.
So what did you say? I'm ready to listen to you. What did you say? What did you say?
Well, you know, essentially, I am saying that puts the performance of the government of the new patrol in context. In context, the headwinds that we had to deal with within the 8 years, it's never been experienced in living memory. And those are the challenges we faced. And if at the end of the look, in 2024, 80% of government that went to elections, the US, the UK, obviously, all parties, ruling parties, lost elections. And Ghana is just one of us. So if this thing, look, the NPP lost elections, but our party is not dead.
But you see, Masa,
our party is not dead. 80% of parties or ruling governments that went into elections in 2024 lost elections.
Masa.
It was a global thing.
Masa.
It was not unique to the new people.
One of the things you have
what I'm saying is that within the 8 years, we were faced with headwinds that we had to deal with, and we took the necessary and very difficult decisions. Look, the banking crisis, for instance. I mean, all of that. I mean, we took very, very difficult decisions, the implications of which we had to live with. And whatever Ghanaians thought those decisions, how it affected them, went into elections and all of that. But I'm saying that even beyond that, there's this convention, 8 years in, 8 years out. That's what we've dealt with over the last 32 years. And you think that it wasn't a factor in the elections? No matter your performance. I mean, if the people are tuned to the fact that after 8 years, we need a new party, I mean, forget it.
Yeah. But what you're doing is actually demonstrating the poverty of your analysis then. And I think that you still suffer from poverty of analysis. You are saying that this 8 year cycle was so strong that it could not be overturned. You are saying that. I
didn't say it was not. I said we give it our best shot to overturn for the first time. We wanted to break the 8. That is what came out with the break the 8 slogan.
My brother, didn't you say that one of the reasons why you couldn't win the election was the 8 year cycle? That Ghanaians have decided that we should change governments after 8 years.
He said that.
You said that.
Yes, I'm not right.
But you, going into that election, believe that that cycle could be changed.
Yes, of course.
What poverty of analysis led to that conclusion?
Why shouldn't we? Could we say that because we've been in power for 8 years, we're not going to contest elections? Or we're not going to go to the voters, or we're not going to try it? Are you saying that we're not going to contest elections because we've been in power for 8 years?
Why?
Why do you think we started saying we wanted to break the 8?
There's no harm in trying. But at the time, your analysis was that your government had performed so damn well that you could change that cycle. That was poor analysis. It didn't happen.
No. And we still stand by the fact that, given the headwinds, contextually, putting the performance of the government in context.
Master, I beg you.
We did a good job for Ghanaians. But Ghanaians are the ultimate judges. Okay. It's not us. Ghanaians are the ultimate judges.
You failed that time. Okay, you failed. That analysis was bad. It didn't give you the results you wanted and so on. Now, we've just elected another government 8 months ago. And if that cycle that you yourself say is very strong still persists, how are you going to win 2024? The cycle that you described, the 8 year cycle, which is unbreakable, if it still exists, how are you then going to win 2024?
Uncle Pratt. So I went on to say...
Master, do proper analysis.
I went on to say that for the first time, as we have a president who is serving his second term, as whether first term, second term, right? He's come out to say that I am not going to contest in 2028, 4-year term, right? And you know, in this cycle that we've had, Ghanaians have been very patient with governments for the first time. And this is very similar to this analysis. After 4 years, and this is going to have a new candidate. And the new candidate is going to be the first time on the ballot paper, whoever it is. We need to repeat our candidate so that we don't wish away that advantage that we have on the ballot paper.
Okay.
That's my point.
But obviously, he's mentioned something, and in fact, he's just repeated it, and it brings to the fore an issue that you have been very, very consistent about. You've been waging some crusade against it, which is the rumor which was going around that President Mahama was contemplating on seeking a third term. And you've been on this platform several times, and you said, look, if it is true, the president should desist from it. And if there are also persons who are talking him into that idea, they should watch it. The president has broken his silence on this matter. There are some who say he shouldn't have even said it at all. But some say it's a good idea. Where do you stand?
Well, first of all, I mean, I've been very, very vocal on this matter. And I'm keenly aware of the fact that there are some elements in the National Democratic Congress who are very angry with me. And they think that I have no business, raising these issues and so on. I mean,
really?
if you go on my X page, you see their comments, plenty. You understand? But let me make this point clear. There is no evidence whatsoever that at any time, at any stage, President John Dramani Mahama contemplated amending the Constitution to go for a third term. There's no evidence. Just pure speculation and pure propaganda. You remember when the issue of the removal of the Chief Justice started, the NPP's main point was that all of this is in furtherance of an ambition to amend the Constitution for President Mahama to go for a third term. President Mahama himself did not at any time give any indication that he wanted to go for a third term. And that was very clear. So what he has just said does not contradict the position he had taken earlier on. It just helps to clarify his own position on future elections and what role he expects to play in it. Now, maybe you know. Maybe you know. I mean, I have a very excellent relations with President Mahama. Not only President Mahama, many other presidents in the past and so have been my friends, But President Mahama was on the left, you understand, and participated in many progressive activities before and so on, you understand. And all the time that I've known President Mahama at close range, I've come to the conclusion that he's a consummate constitutionalist. Consummate constitutionalist.
What does that mean?
He believes in upholding the Constitution. He believes that the Constitution sets forth standards which must be obeyed, even if you do not agree with the provisions of the Constitution. Until the Constitution is properly amended and adopted, whatever is in the Constitution ought to be followed. He's a consummate constitutionalist. Okay? I've also known from my relationship with him that he's not driven by ego and reckless ambition. And all those who know him, you ask them, they will tell you the same. Even if you were to ask former President Nana Akufo-Addo, I'm sure he will tell you the same things about John Mahama. Okay. So right from the beginning, I was sure that he, as a person, was not going to fall for this recklessness. I knew that he wouldn't fall for this recklessness. However, the clamor for him to go for a third term was increasing. I mean, the tempo was increasing. And I'm sure that you remember that a number of chiefs actually jumped in, held press conferences and so on. There was one particular chief who said that very soon, Bibiani will be surrounded by motorways and so on. And that he has done so well that we should amend the Constitution and give him a third term and so on. And that is why I made the intervention. I made 2, 3, 4 interventions, urging him not to fall for this extreme recklessness. One, because of the knowledge of history. You understand? Look, boss,
Oh.
I'm much older than you.
Of course,
you know?
Of course.
So I've seen a lot of stuff.
Of course, we used to read from you.
No.
when you're in the right.
Acheampong became one of the most popular leaders that this country ever had.
Sure.
Acheampong was so popular. 1972 all the way to about 1976 and so on, he was so popular. And his popularity was based on his concrete achievements. You understand? He reversed the devaluation of the cedi, which was very important for business and commerce and so on. Clear. He embarked upon Operation Feed Yourself and Feed Your Industries. Ghana became self-sufficient in food production in 2 years. He took a strong anti-imperialist stand. You understand? He started the production of organic fertilizer and so on. He did so many things and became so popular. Then, praise singers jumped in and said, look, Acheampong had done so well that he should stay on forever. And they came up with this silly idea of Unigolf. That is what killed Acheampong. In the final analysis, when Acheampong was being shot at the Teshi range, Ghanaians were cheering his execution. You understand? We should not put our friends, and people will like, through that. I've seen it before. Acheampong lost his popularity in a whip. And you see, when that happened, then they had to mobilize all kinds of groups, Organizers Council, Peace Council, and Komunini, to campaign for union government. So a lot of resources were diverted from the national development effort into waging this useless campaign. Okay? His own democratic credentials suffered. He was a coup leader. No doubt he was a coup leader. Okay? But his democratic pretensions, let me say pretensions, collapsed. Collapsed completely. And eventually he was executed at the firing range. So this is something which has guided me most of the times. Now, I'm not the only person. Dr. Nahoda Hotamako, if you remember, also wrote a piece about why it would be reckless for anybody to push the agenda of Mahama coming for a third term.
In fact, he forwarded it to me last week.
Okay.
On the
Dr.
show.
Nahoda Hotamako,
Yes.
Togbe Dr. Nahoda Hotamako. And he also made reference to what happened to Acheampong. You understand? Yes. He made copious references to what happened to Acheampong. I think we should be serious. Look, if you really like John Mahama, if you appreciate what John Mahama is doing and so on, protect him from himself and from recklessness. And the only way to do that is to stop this nonsense of a third term for John Mahama. It doesn't make any sense at all. You see, implied in that is an assumption that of the 35 million Ghanaians, only one is capable of leadership. That's an insult to the whole of Ghana. If anybody comes today and says, Ghana, 35 million people, there's only one person who is capable of leadership, don't you consider that as an insult? It's a blatant insult. You understand? And to be honest with you, I felt very proud when President Mahama said that he would not be on the ballot. You know, I mean, President Mahama has, as I say, he's had some master strokes in his political life. One of his master strokes was the decision to select Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyemang as his running mate. First woman vice president in Ghana and so on. It provided a dream. It became a beacon that people looked up to and so on. That was a master stroke. This is his second most important master stroke, his decision not to be on the ballot. There are many problems associated with that. I'm aware of it. You understand? Already, there are so many people in his administration who have started campaigning to become president and so on. Yeah. If I were him, I would sack them.
Oh, why
yes.
that?
Because listen, there's an agenda to be pursued. There's a program to be followed. The next 4 years he has to show, he has to build his legacy and so on.
Yes.
Those people are diverting attention from the effort to improve agriculture, to industrialize the country, to improve the value of the currency and so on. And they're diverting attention to to some useless ambition of theirs. You understand? They are not focusing attention on his mandate. And that is why he has to sack them to set an example.
Even if they are meeting their KPIs? Targets you've been giving, I'm meeting those targets.
Can we mention names of some of the people who are coming up and see whether they are meeting their KPIs? Do you want us to do that? You've been in power for 8 months. Some of them are ministers. As we sit here, even me as a journalist who is reading constantly and searching for information and so on, I don't know what their program is. And they have already jumped into the race, wanting to be president. President for what? I'm so happy that the chairman of the party, Mr. Asid Luketia, has made a very brilliant, eloquent statement on this matter. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yes, I've seen it.
And he has said that, look, in 2028, we as a party will be campaigning on the legacy of John Mahama. So if you don't build that legacy and you jump into this silly race, and then there's no legacy and so on, your ambition will collapse. So if you are sensible and you have an ambition and want to pursue that ambition, work on the agenda 2024 to 2028. That's what the chairman of the party said. You understand? Now, more. The type of democracy we are practicing is troubling. This type of democracy, what it's producing now, is self-declared leaders. So you go and stand in front of the mirror in the morning, you think you are handsome or beautiful. You put your hands in your pocket and you think you are touching some money. Then you begin dreaming about becoming president. Self-declared leaders is what will happen. That is what this democracy is producing. The proper definition of leaders are those who are ready to make the most sacrifice in the interest of the collective. That is how leadership emerges. Leadership is about those who have what it takes to do extraordinary things, things that the collective is not able to do, or is difficult to find people within the collective who are capable of doing. That is how leadership emerges. But in our case, it's become a competition of the wealthy. And that's why some people wake up and say, look, I have so much money, I spent more money than you in the last election and so on, and therefore, I'm the most qualified to be leader. You know, and we've even had a case of somebody coming up to us, to the Ghanaian people, and telling us that he looks like Nkrumah, so we should vote for him. You remember that?
Yes.
Or you don't remember?
I know.
You want me to mention the name?
I'll help you.
I'm not on this platform to crucify people. Okay.
Yeah.
You understand? So this self-declaration of leadership, it should stop.
All right, so stay with us. Isa, don't worry. I'll come back to you. Okay. Stay with us. This is Good Morning Ghana. Please don't go anywhere.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
I'm a branch manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Wabedum time aso. Hey, J. Watch it, na learning. Missy, watch and learn. Makwaya mabesisia. Abozege. Akete say no ya konate and the more drink woman. Hey. But I didn't mean. Oh, sorry. She knew her old days. Eji, Dabio, baby wom. Ready? Hey, baby wom. Ah, Eji. I'll cause some discomfort. Ah. Sorry, what uncle, where would the dad? Why your funeral? At your phone for Aerofield Trading. Sorry, it killed them all.
No mum share nanda danya was mosquito call esudu womunumu. Na say spray with them musa. Chaisima edronum ansana ko dynamo.
And Kratoi FDA Ajatum.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, mommy.
The second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late, of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. You go be the luckiest. Copy from Georgia be luckiest. From not the cause she be luckiest. Me and you go be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go be the luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Senya, God, the apple boom. If you're poor, what's that? So would the coming of the Son of Man be. Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
You're live and good morning, Ghana on Metro Television. My name is Audu Moore. I'm here with Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr., who is a journalist and an elderly statesman, and also Issa Hussein, a former member of parliament for the Kaikwe North Constituency. Issa, your thoughts on GM's declaration that he won't seek a third term?
Mr. Pratt, I don't know President Mahama at that close range. So I can only say what I read about him, what I see, his actions and all of that. And so for me, I thought that it was important he made that declaration actually, because there were speculations within and without of their party, people who agreed with it, people who did not agree with it. And as a Ghanaian, I was sitting on the edge. I didn't know where we're heading to. I'll presume that the way we have read the Constitution, some are saying that the 2 terms should be consecutive. Some are saying that it has to be, because it should be consecutive. If he served 1 term earlier on and is now having 1, it means that he has a chance. I mean, all of this we're living. And I at a point, I was expecting that we got some interpretation of that provision at the Supreme Court, sort of.
There's an
I
interpretation.
thought, oh, okay, that actually helps.
You remember Ken Kranchi?
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes.
But that case, I thought that case was thrown out. I didn't know whether there was a...
Yeah, but then out of that case emerged a definition.
Oh, okay. Then I lost track of, but I remember Ken Kranchi. I'm going to court on that matter. For me, it sets everything to rest as to his future in elections within Ghana. But going beyond that, Mr. Pratt made a number of points that are of interest to anyone watching us this morning as to what the NDC its outlook is going into the next election. Because look, as a Ghanaian, however the NDC performs, it affects me. It has a direct impact on myself, whether or not I support the government. I'm a Ghanaian. Whatever happens in the market, it affects me. It affects my family. It affects my ability to look after my family. So I am interested in how the NDC manages the affairs of this nation. And for us to think that there are elements occupying key positions within government who already are looking at the next step, looking at the opportunity to contest. And so they being in office today, I'm sure that human as they are, decisions that they take, everyday management of whatever sector they are in charge of, has some implications on how this thing goes. I mean, it's replicated in our environment. If a chief of staff who is the administrative head of the presidency, I mean, who supervises most of the going ins and outs at the presidency, has some ambition to meet. And Uncle Kwesi Pratt is saying that 8 months, he is not even sure about the performance of some of these people in the sectors that they have been given to manage. And so it gives the sense that there are people in government who are just not looking at the performance of the government, but looking at some sort of succession in the government. And I think that is also a very dangerous thing. You see, under President Kufuor, going into elections to 2008, there were a lot of members within government who showed interest in succeeding him. And what did he do? He gave them an ultimatum. If you are interested in succeeding me, if you are interested in running for the leadership of our party, all I ask is put your tools down, go out there, concentrate on your campaign, and leave the government. I mean, it was very obvious. Similarly, even under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Alan Chairman Tene said a test case. As a Minister of Trade, he had to leave government to concentrate on contesting in his elections. And 8 months in the life of a government, when the president has a 4-year tenure, you expect that every appointee of the president will concentrate to execute the agenda of the president. And that is what we want to do. Like I said earlier, however the NDC performs affects me directly. That's why I'm interested in how appointees of the government perform and whether they fit into or they share the outlook of the president. And that is very, very crucial. You cannot work with people who have divided attention, one serving in government and also working to succession. And those are very important decisions that I expect the president to make in the coming months. I mean, I don't know when the internal politics in the NDC is going to start. Thankfully, for us in the New Patriotic Party, we've seen this over and over and over again. We've had real contests within our party. Whatever is happening in our party today, there are things that we've seen in the past. And I'm sure over time, by the time we go for those elections, end of January, however the elections go, but I believe that the party is still going to maintain our last flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. However it goes, there will be some orderliness within the party. There will be some unison of purpose within the party that, look, this is a party in opposition that is gunning within the next to go for a very important election that has the capacity to make or break our party going forward. And so we will have that unison of purpose. And I expect the NDC to put their house in order. The president, it's just right for me that he came out to make this explicit pronouncement that, look, I am not interested in running the third term. Alhamdulillah, that's very good. Going forward, what happens to his appointees in government? I think that he should be decisive on it, and let's move on. Else, me, I don't know him at a very close range. I don't know how much he believes in the Constitution. All I say is what I read about him, what I see in the media. It's how I view him. And so for me, it puts my fears to rest. That look, he's made a pronouncement. Let's move on.
All right. Now, speaking about pronouncement, the people of Akwatia made theirs yesterday.
Right.
They made a big pronouncement. And Akwatia has decided to turn green. And they've given their reasons why they decided to make that pronouncement, the basis for making that pronouncement. And so if you look at most of the newspapers today, almost all of them are washed with this major political and democratic development that took place in our dear country, Ghana. So Daily Graphic this morning says, NDC's Bedu elected Akwatia MP. And Haruna Yusuf Wumpene in Akwatia is reporting that Bernard Bedi Akumbedu of the National Democratic Congress claimed a comfortable victory over Solomon Kwame Asumedu of the New Patriotic Party in yesterday's parliamentary by-election in Akwatia, adding one more seat to the NDC's dominance in the legislature. Mr. Bedu, a 40-year-old lawyer, and the story continues on page 3. A 40-year-old lawyer and Akwatia Constituency Secretary of the NDC polled 18,199 votes out of 33,819 total votes cast. That fetched in 54.29% of the vote, while Mr. Sumedu, a small-scale miner, polled 15,235 votes that left him trailing with 45.45%. A third contestant, Patrick Owusu of the Liberal Party of Ghana LBG, came a distant third with a meager 82 votes that amounted to 0.24% of the valid votes against 303 rejected ballots. After Mr. Bedu was declared the MP-elect by the returning officer of the constituency, Eric Owusu Jemfi, at about 9:40 p.m., he thanked the electorate and the people of Akwatia for reposing confidence in him and the NDC. He said Akwatia remained a mining town, only that mining had to be done responsibly, a job he would take up seriously. And I'm quoting him, "The electorate gave us hope, which has resulted in victory today. Akwatia's name has always been associated with mining, so you can't take away the mining. We only have to do it lawfully. That's what we are going to work on. What we're looking for is development, and we'll make sure we deliver." Now, the victory also brings the total number of seats held by the NDC in Parliament to 183. In the very likely event of the party winning the Tamale Central by-election on Tuesday, September 30 this year, it will bring its total number of seats to the House 184. Now, these are 4 other independent candidates that are doing business with the NDC caucus in Parliament, enabling it to marshal about 188 MPs, more than 2/3 majority for major decisions. And it talks about how peaceful the elections and the shadow box, the shadowboxing between the minority leader Alexander Penyomaki and some MP leaders dragged down a large post of the NDC candidate and so on and so forth. All of these things that happened in that constituency prior or during the election day. There are many other angles to this story, and but I guess that it's basically about the NDC's victory and the MPP's loss. But obviously, what does this mean for the NDC, and what does this also mean to the MPP?
Well, I think the Akwatia by-election teaches important lessons for all of us.
Okay.
I mean, whether we are analysts, journalists, MPP politicians or NDC politicians, there are very important lessons that this teaches us. And one of the lessons is simply that it is possible to take polling seriously. Surveys. Because once again, global info analytics has demonstrated a capability to predict almost accurately the results of elections. So there must be a method to it. And perhaps if that method is applied, it will help politicians, plan better, campaign better, and so on. So that's a very important lesson which is coming out of the Akwatia by-election. The other important lesson for me is that, look, what has happened shows that in 8 months, opinions can shift, attitudes can shift. So, because the seat was occupied by an MPP member of parliament, and within 8 months, it shifted. Now, if you look at the figures, the last time, the NDC lost by about 2,000 votes.
Yes.
They've now won by about 3,000 votes. Very significant.
More than 3,000.
Okay, but very significant. Okay. And this all happened in 8 months. Now, this should also teach us that those who say that we should abolish by-elections have no case at all. They have no case at all. Because their argument is that by-elections are expensive, sometimes they lead to violence and so on. So if there's a party which has already won, why don't you allow that party to continue? What has happened in Akwatia shows that within 8 months, the people may want change. You understand? And it brings to question the principle of the right to recall, which is in some constitutions. I know that it's in the Cuban constitution, for example. That at any time during parliamentary life, if the people are able to gather enough signatures, they can recall an MP.
Yeah.
And they can recall an MP if they think your people think that you are not performing well. They can change you.
Right.
That's right. Now, by-elections give us an opportunity to do that here. And this whole idea of by-elections being too competitive and therefore we should consider, then why do we hold elections at all? Because elections have the same problems that by-elections have, the national elections. It involves a lot of money, there's a lot of expenditure, sometimes it leads to violence and so on. So should we stop the national elections too? Should we stop the elections of presidents and so on? It's a very bad argument. I mean, we shouldn't push it. It's so bad an argument. Because if we were to listen to those people, we would have just asked the MPP to bring a candidate. And the people of Akwatia would have been denied the chance to change. Because it's obvious that they want a change. 3,000, a margin of 3,000 votes is huge in Akwatia. Now, the other thing too that we have to recognize is that a lot of constituencies and even regions and so on are becoming swing regions and swing constituencies. You see, right now, you have Greater Accra. It's a swing region. It can go either way.
Yeah.
Central is swing. Western is swing. You understand? Eastern region has always been almost balanced. But you have 3 swing regions. Akwatia happens to be a swing constituency. So you don't take Akwatia for granted. The people of Akwatia are telling us that, look, don't never take us for granted. Because sometimes they vote NPP, sometimes they vote NDC. What's important to find out is what is it that makes them vote one way or the other. Now, anybody who knows Akwatia knows that Akwatia was built around diamond mining. It became a major urban center because of diamond mining. The last time I went to Akwatia, the state of the diamond mining industry was very, very, very low. So I guess that the unemployment situation in Akwatia has risen.
Right.
Now we do know of small-scale mining or illegal mining in and around Akwatia and so on, which is also a major problem there. Akwatia has very bad roads now. The roads have deteriorated and the roads need rehabilitation and so on. Now, whoever has won the election in Akwatia must know that there's a lot of work to be done. Right. And if he doesn't do that work, the next elections is going out. You understand? Because the people of Akwatia will punish you if you don't do what they want to be done for them. And I hope that you become keenly aware of the fact that you can't take the people of Akwatia for granted.
Isa?
Yeah.
What is this? How? I mean, since the results came out, you looked at the numbers. What have you been reflecting on?
Ooh, Akwatia is come and gone. But you see, Akwatia has been a constituency that, like Mr. Pratt said, Baba Jamal won it in the 6th Parliament. Amase took over in the 7th Parliament. Someone else took in the 8th Parliament. And then our late MP took it again in the 9th Parliament. Remember, our late MP had lost elections even in 2020, but he made a comeback and he won it. So it's a constituency that could go either way, depending on the factors at a point in time. In 2024, going into general elections where we have both presidential and parliamentary elections, I'm sure that people were voting going forward, thinking that we are going to give this honorable member another opportunity to go represent us in parliament. It so happens that God has his ways and calls him to eternity. Within what transpired in December of 2024 and now, certainly the factors are very different. Yesterday, I wasn't in Akwatia, but I was monitoring. There were projects that were started 2 days into the elections. I live in a place where the road in front of my house is not being tarred. We started working on it from 2015 under the garage program, and it's taken 10 years for the contractor to still be on site working. I'm sure my neighbors, if touchwood, there are by-elections in my constituency today, that project is going to influence how they vote.
I don't know why you politicians do that.
I don't think that...
I don't know why.
You see, like I'm saying, the garage project started in 2015 after the Circle incident, the fire incident that happened in Circle. It's taken 10 years. I recollect I was in Parliament when the funding and all that were put together somewhere in 2018. The contractor is still on site. And so projects in this country could take a very long or has very long gestation periods. And so some of these things do affect how people vote, especially in by-elections. There are people who, Akwatia, I should congratulate the NDC. Obviously, they have won their seat. That's fine. Whether or not they really needed to contest the elections like they did, whether or not they needed to take a decision like we have done on Tamale Central, it's another thing for us. But I think that what people have an opinion on as to whether we should have by-elections like we did yesterday. I think that we should continue by having by-elections and giving opportunity to electorates. What the problem is that beside, off my head, I can recollect 2 occasions that we've had by-elections that was not as a result of the demise of a member of parliament. Dr. Wayoseni moving camps, and then also, I think in Talensi, there was somebody who abdicated, who wanted to go to be a chief and had to, it was a Talensi. I think that brought in BT Baba or something of the sort. I think it's Talensi. Yes. Beside that, I can't recollect any by-election that had happened beside the demise of an MP. And for a politician, sometimes it's... I
think there was a case of conviction of an MP.
Oh, I'm watching. I don't think they did lead to a by-election.
The Amwati one.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, 6 months into a general elections, we don't have by-elections.
Yeah, we don't have by-elections.
And so I don't recollect Amwati's case.
I'm not sure.
I'm also not too sure. But I listen. These 2 instances is what I recollect.
Yes. There was a by-election. I don't recall exactly what, but there was a by-election.
Yeah, I recollect these 2. Maybe there was a 3rd one.
Yeah.
But typically, that's what has happened. And to think that the provisions of the Constitution give that by 60 days there has to be a replacement. Sometimes, given our cultural backgrounds, it's a very, very difficult situation to go through. And sometimes there are connotations. I recollect the ban redo issues and all of that, what happened in Asante. It's a very sensitive, and sometimes it could actually go to. And so that goes to support the fact that maybe parties should retain ownership of the seats and find replacement. That could be an argument. But I think that by-elections also give parties an opportunity, or it's a way for them to measure how they are doing at every point in time. And so we should retain it as it's going. But as to things that transpired in Akwatia yesterday, taking out the Azoka, Sofu Azoka and Masood issue. I don't think that we did so badly relative to what transpired in Ablekuma North and the restricted elections a couple of weeks ago. I think that by and large we were okay with what happened. And this is won the seats. I think we are moving on from that point. NPP as a party will take lessons from what happened in Akwatia. We're looking at what happened and why we will lose a seat like that within 8 months. I mean, obviously, like I've said, there were roads construction that was starting. And if people were seeing development in their face, then this went into Akwatia saying that, look, if your mother is in the kitchen, you are better off because when she serves lunch, you are most likely to have some. But if it's your mother's rival, then you are most unlikely to be served some good portion of lunch. And so it just made sense that they will go that route. But all in all, it's not the first time a certain government has won a seat like under Kufuor. A lot of the by-elections that happened. I mean, MPP won, but NDC went on to win elections in 2008. And so we are taking lessons from it and moving on. As to polling and the impact, polling themselves do not determine the outcome. They tell you how the trend is going, where you were, where you are at every point in time, given how the electorates are thinking. And so polling itself, yes, Musa Dankwa, for me, I think that he's done a good job. I think that he's bringing a new perspective to our elections. Before Musa Dankwa, there were other posters. This is tempting. I won't be drawn into it. There were other posters in this nation.
What have I done?
I don't know.
Musa, what have I done?
Proud to Musa Dankwa and proud to Musa Dankwa, there were other posters.
Please,
I mean,
please.
Bernard
Singh has retired.
I have not mentioned those are.
No,
beside him, I'm sure there were other people who tried to do polling in this nation. And I mean, you cannot be too exact in polling. Look, there was one election that I learned a lot, the Hillary Trump elections. I went to bed thinking that by the time I woke up, Hillary will be president of the United States. Every poll that went to the direction of supporting Hillary's ascension to the presidency. And what happened? By morning, Trump was president. And so some of these things, polls themselves don't win elections. They are indications. And for me as a politician, for my party as a political party, we'll continue to be more scientific. We'll continue to be taking lessons from this. We'll continue to be more scientific in the fact that we are going to engage some of these tools going into elections and all of that. So it's all well and good. This is where we are as a nation. This is where our system is. I say congratulations to the NDC. But hey, we live to fight another day.
But Master, I think we have to be fair to the current Inspector General of Police.
Okay.
You understand? We have to be fair to him. I think he did a good job. Okay. He was on the ground. And the fact that this thing went off peacefully is also a credit to all the security agencies and so on. And we need to, because before the elections, you remember what we said? All kinds of things that we said, you know, about the role of the police and how they should behave and so on. So if they perform so well, it is only appropriate that we give credit where credit is due. You understand?
See, talking about the police, I was in Ablekuma. I was close to action. I saw what transpired in there. I wasn't directly involved, but I was present when all those things happened. Going into Akwatia, our party had made demands on the police service that, look, let's us see you act upon the atrocities that happened in Ablekuma. Thankfully, there was what I would call semblance of action, because I didn't think that, okay, these people went through the process, they were convicted. I didn't think that the fines were punitive enough. That's my personal opinion. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of people watching us this morning will share that sort of thing. But you see, then again, the police approach to Akwatia yesterday, from what I gather, there were 5,000 policemen for that activity happening within Akwatia. And I don't know the size of the whole police service. I think it's maybe less than 30,000. So if we are taking quarter or 20% of our police force into one constituency because of a by-election, you see, I concede by-elections are not just constituency matters. They are more or less national matters because you have people coming in from everywhere. And I concede that during by-elections, because of the impact or its national nature, the concentration of the forces within a constituency easily allows any fire to ignite because there will be some sort of tension. But I mean, after the Azoka Maswood incident, you could see leading figures of both political parties being cordial, and that has been the way we have been used to. The police, I don't know, but maybe yesterday they because of the absence of any significant incident. I mean, you give to them, but the build up into Akwatia is still something that I think that we should have a look at, because if people were able to perpetuate things like what we saw in Ablikwanov, and they go to court, they are convicted, and this is the sort of actions. I don't think it's deterrent enough. Right. Going forward, I mean, people will still go out there and perpetuate some of these things, and we should move away from it as a nation.
But at least in this case, there was arrest. In this case, there was conviction.
Right. Yes, but you
there
see,
other cases where there was no arrest, no conviction.
When I saw the video of what transpired between Sofa Azoka and Maswood, I shudder to think that the police were more or less, for somebody to, I don't know whether any level of provocation will allow you to shove your hand into my face like I saw in the video. I don't know whether any level of provocation will allow the young man who I saw slapping Maswood in the video to do what he did. And I'd expected that the police would have called some arrest. I'd expected that the police would call some arrest and give us updates this morning on what transpired.
It is still an improvement from the past.
I expected that doing right per the laws. If somebody hits another person, no matter, no level of provocation, would rationalize that. And so I expected at the point that the police would make some arrests. But what happened? The police were there, mostly unarmed, and they were rather sort of begging the NDC faction and all of that, and I thought that it was unfair. If at the time Maswood had also had an entourage like Sofa Azoka did, only God knows what would have been reporting this morning. And I think that the NPP had gone in there. If you look at that video, Maswood had this outlook of a jovial. I don't speak Dagbani. I'm not too sure what the exchanges were, but the reaction of Sofa Azoka at the point, to say the least, were very disappointing. If you say I also West Wagon, you see, in I also West Wagon, I was a polling agent in Abilinkpi. In that elections. In that elections, I had most leading members of the party because Abilinkpi was seen to be the stronghold of the NDC. And I was a polling agent. Most of the leading members of the NDC came through my polling station, and it was very cordial. As to what happened elsewhere,
the shooting didn't happen.
As to what happened, and I keep saying that because of the national nature, because of the tension, because of the tension within the constituency, you would expect that the least light will ignite fire. But I expected that the police would have taken action at the point that Maswood was attacked yesterday, and not wait until this morning or an afterthought for people to be taken to court, convicted, and given some minimal sentences and all of that. I think that we can do better to be able to deter such behaviors at elections.
Okay. Now speaking about the Erica Martin matter, he was elected Member of Parliament in 2005, and his trouble started November of that year.
The same year, 2005.
Yes, the same year, November. And then he had to, he had to resign from that position in 2007, February. And then in March, same 2007, the Electoral Commission declared that, the seat had been vacant and so on. And so the political party started campaigning for it. So there was a new MP in the same 2007. Okay. So that's just a long and short.
Also retained by the New Patriotic Party, right?
Yeah, it was retained by the New Patriotic Party. One visit Derek Odro.
Oh, Daryl.
Major Derek. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's it. Yes, yes. But I've had a lot of several messages, and for the first time, we're going to read also some Facebook, messages that we have received as one of the new additions to interacting with our viewers. But Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, when you mentioned it, so he sent a message, and what he says that. Let me just read what Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo sent a while ago. I just read it. He says, where did I hide this? Okay, so he says, Moro, I wrote this 6 weeks before John Mahama came out, and he sent me the article. In fact, he sent it and he's repeated the article. So he says he wrote this 6 weeks ago, just to buttress the point you made earlier. But Bernard Mona has also sent me a message of the PNC, former flag bearer aspirant of the PNC.
But he was actually
flag bearer. Sorry?
He was flag bearer, just that he didn't end up on the ballot.
Yes. Well, flag bearer. Well, you're right. He didn't end up on the ballot. He had some issues with the Electoral Commission. Now, it says, number one, good morning, Moro. It says, number one, why are you saying by-election in Tamale Central? 2, Kofi Asante stepped down as MP. And 3, Eric Amoating. So you're talking about by-elections that we've had in the past. These by-elections were not as a result of death, so just to put the conversation in its proper context. And then this one says, Honorable Befi. Oh, okay. So your very good friend, Robert Coleman. Apparently he's in charge with Randy Abe and Stephen Appiah and co. The Black Stars have a game. It's a World Cup. I believe it's a World Cup.
Yeah, it's a World Cup.
Qualifier, yes, in charge. And so he's just sent a message. He said, I should find out from you. This one is a personal question from him to you. First of all, he says hello, and he hopes you're doing well. He wants me to find out what you think of Honorable Michael Befi's declaration that he would, prior to the election, that he would resign. He will resign as Member of Parliament. I think that's new job in the South, isn't it? New job in the South, yes. If the NDC won the elections. And then, of course, the U-turn he made, which is that he said he misspoke, and so he should be forgiven. He said he wants to pick your thoughts on that, whether we should insist that he resigns or not, or whether we should accept his apology. And also to you, Issa and Robert Coleman says...
But when are they coming back?
No, he's back tomorrow. He's back in town tomorrow.
But they have another match on Monday or Tuesday. So
yes. But I think the game is today, isn't it?
I thought it was tomorrow.
I think the chat game is, I believe it's today. I cross-checked, okay. But he says he's back in town tomorrow. That's right.
But both Randy and Coleman have to be in town on Tuesday.
Yes, it's very important.
They have to be in town on Tuesday.
Right, what's happening on Tuesday?
Don't worry, it doesn't concern you.
There's a big event. And I think you probably should invite him to the event.
Don't worry, that's offset.
Offset. Wow. Anyway. There are some things I can keep offset. But not the fact that there's a major launch. Yes, on Tuesday. Major launch. It's a book launch.
Wow.
And I'll tell you a bit more about this book
That'd
launch.
be nice.
It's a very important. We'll all be there. But he says he misses all of you, Robert Coleman. So Robert, Uncle says you have to be in town before Tuesday. Even if you come to Ghana tomorrow, make sure you don't travel again, because Tuesday you have to be at the venue. I'm happy that Mr. Kwesi Pratt is here. He'll tell us a bit more about this launch and venue and so on and so forth. But Carlos sends a message. Carlos from Odududu sends a message. Good morning. Please respectfully ask the MPP representative in your studio. Yesterday, I raised a concern. Why is it that your third vice chairman is being followed by a policeman carrying 2 sidearms when the police themselves have publicly stated in a press conference that no one, not even a minister or an MP, should be followed by a policeman with a sidearm? Why is this happening? I would like him to respond. Thank you. Carlos from Odududu. Robert Coleman says he'll be there live. Live and Khaled. Don't say he won't miss it for anything, So he'll come, he'll be representing at your launch. So Bernard Mona, thank you very much for that message. And Ali Hureya, Greater Accra Regional Zongo Caucus, says that, good morning, bro. I hope you remember my message. This by-election is about you either vote for a person who will be complaining or you vote for a person who will bring you development. And so he says the Black Stars match is tomorrow. So thank you very much, Ali, for that. Yes, the Black Stars game is tomorrow. So I'm sure right after the game, Robert Coleman and Randy and Co will be in town. But have you heard the Collins Dowders message prior to the elections, and it's received mixed reactions. Some people have condemned it, some say, well, it is what it is. Where he says, if you want development, vote for the NDC. Because if you have an MP, he's closer to the party, he's closer to the government, development will come to you much, much quicker and much faster. I don't know what you also make of that as well.
What I hate is double standards.
Okay.
You understand? And I recall that when President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo went somewhere near Senche.
Yes.
And told the people that, even though they didn't vote for him, he had come there. And also there was another incident where he actually told the people that they didn't get development because they voted for the opposition, the minority and so on. We all condemned it.
Right.
These statements coming from some people in the NDC are the same as what Nana Addo Akufo-Addo said. You understand? The same thing. Why? If communities don't vote for you, it doesn't give you any right to deny them development. They pay taxes. You understand? So I cannot approve statements like this. To approve statements like this would be hypocritical. It would be exhibiting double standards.
Right.
If what Nana Addo Akufo-Addo said was condemnable, we didn't accept it. We must condemn statements such as this one too. I'm very clear in my mind.
Is that?
So from the text, Carlos, I am not privy to the fact that Masood works with the policeman who signed arms.
All right.
Yesterday, I heard from Aziz Futa, who was with him when the incident happened.
Yeah.
And from what I gather, there were just two of them moving around. So I'm not privy to that, so I cannot say. The other one is about Honorable Collins Dowda. Sometimes it's kind of sensitive. I have seen him in Parliament. I was privileged to have watched him. But it's the likes of Honorable Collins Dowda. They are, within the parliamentary setup itself, they are very seasoned members of Parliament. He's been there since the beginning. He's only been in and out once. He lost elections and so he's been there. And so he's one of the people that the institution of Parliament, looks up to. And so he should know. Not too long ago, I saw a clip of his within his constituency where there were some allegations as what transpired, him getting a transformer. Even whilst in opposition, he was able to get a transformer installed in a certain part of his constituency because of the fluctuation of electricity, even whilst he was in opposition. And he has been able to hold on to that seat whilst President Kufuor was president, whilst Nana Addo Akufo-Addo was president. And so his point of as to if your president is not in office, you don't have to. What is the role of the member of Parliament? This comes back. Now we have turned MPs into development agents, and it is one of the disconnections in our system, where people expect MPs to be building roads, and it's as of pronouncements like this. People expect so much of the MP and taking the core work of the member of Parliament away, which is a legislator, and to an extent an advocate for the constituents. So I can understand when the roads are bad, it is the work of the member of Parliament to do that advocacy. Go to Parliament, whether or not whichever side of the speaker you are sitting at. You can call the member, the minister to Parliament, question him, and by questioning him, it just brings focus on particular projects that a government will have to see to. The current state of the Bokwase road and all of that. It's the role of the MP. That's that extent to which the MP can do. Right. The MP itself, per the architecture of the governance system that we have, does not do projects. So it's irrespective of whether the MP is sitting on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of the speaker. The MP does advocacy, does legislative work. But because of this, some of the statements, we have tended to expect developmental projects from the MP. Now you are saying that if you have an opposition MP, he's unable to bring development. Look, in the run-up to 2024 elections, I can tell you, look, MPs like our communication minister today, he was able to go to his people and say, look, even Agenda 111, the government decided to bring it. But as an MP, I've been able to do some legwork on it, making sure that the contractor is on site, he's working per the program and all of that. And we saw the outcome of the Agenda 111 hospital within his constituency. So irrespective of whether the MP is on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of the speaker, I think the role of the MP is well defined. And we should try to push away or move away from putting developmental agenda on the members of parliament. And that is one of the things that I would expect that the Constitutional Review Committee coming out with their reports. These are some of the things that I expect. I mean, it also goes and dovetails into the fact that the president has to select 51% of his ministers from parliament. All of this, there are things that after 32 years we should have look at and tweak it to fit our current. I think that people who want to do legislative and advocacy work in parliament should be allowed to pursue that and do that as a career. Those who want to serve in the executive should concentrate on the executive. And but to have seasoned member of parliament take such stance, I think that it's problematic. Like Mr. Pratt said, if Nana Danko Akufo-Addo did it and you criticize it, and today you are saying same thing, I think that we are not making progress. And so we should move away from those statements and leave the work of members of parliament. Let's define it. Let the electorate understand that, look, you are voting me as a member of parliament. When I go to parliament, these are what I can do. I am basically there to perform legislative functions and do advocacy on your behalf because you voted for me. And that should be it. Whatever the MP is able to do for the constituency, it's another thing, right? But then again, over time, the role of the MP is evolved. When I was MP, my gate was open. Every morning I held clinics in my house. Sometimes some of the demands were quite difficult, I mean, for somebody who had just started. And you have to deal with it. You have to deal with it. That's the reality of it. But to say that you will not get developmental work because I've cited a case of Honorable Sam George, who came out brazenly to say that even as an opposition MP, he was able to get to this project. I've stated the case of the same Honorable Collins Zada, who was saying that he was able to get, in fact, oversized transformers in his constituency because of the situation when he was an opposition MP. So what will deter someone else from the capacity to be able to serve the people, even if the person is in opposition? I think we should move away from that so that the electorate will have a lot of confidence in parliament and we can build the institution and get to the right people in parliament. I believe that the day our parliament is able to do what it's expected to do within this architecture, half of our problems will be washed away.
Well, I think as politicians, you must do better. Because the reality of the situation is that oftentimes when you're in the position, it's hard.
It is hard. It is
hard to lobby for development into your constituency.
It is hard, but there are tools available to
I get it. I get it. So Sam Akwu-Kelly also says that so Honorable Saini knows that no matter the level of provocation, one is not allowed to hit or slap another person. What did he and his colleagues in MPP say when President Akufo-Addo rubbish the Emil Short Commission's recommendation with a claim that the offender was provoked? Fairness and consistency, he says, works, please. Now, this one here is that the opposition MP can lobby for. Okay, so Simmons, who is the Simmons is the dean of the Parliamentary Press Corps in Ghana's Parliament, and he's just sent me this story, and this story is to basically to remind us of some comments that were made in the past, and basically to ask about the double standards or the double tongue speaking of politicians. So he says, good morning. What Konizada said is not different from what Asenso Boache said in Ejisu during that by-election. And he says, and the story is actually on Ghana Web, Ejisu by-election, no opposition MP can lobby for road projects from me. Asenso Boache warns voters. Interesting. So anyway, Simons, thanks for going into the archives and bringing this one out. Now, Sedu Pebu was a regular view of the show. He says, ask Fuseni whether he criticized President Akufo-Addo for saying same to the people of Ekumfi. We all disagree with such statements. That's from Sedu Pebu. And Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm is a regular view of the show as well. It says, good morning, my brother. The MPP as a political party is refusing to learn from their mistakes. How can you handpick a candidate by a few group of people who have hijacked the party without going through the due process in selecting candidates, and you expect to win elections? The people went into the election without any message. The message they took into elections was that the NDC killed Honorable Ernest Kumi, and I was surprised to see Dr. Bamia, who I expect to know better,
also going around in Akwatia with the same message. This is so shameful. I don't recall Bamia saying they killed him. He only said that the stress that Ernest Kumi went through contributed to his demise. That's what I heard him say. Now, this one says, Audu, Dr. Mohammed Ibn Chambers left his seat. Left his seat. That's what I remember brought about the by-election in, I don't get this. So, if you can come back again, Tafa and right here, your message is not very, very clear. Please come back with that message. Right? Let me know exactly what you want to say. Now, Mansa Musa, who's a journalist based in the UK, says if security situation in areas up north is deteriorating, the Home Office Minister, the Interior Minister, has failed and need to be removed. Good morning from Mansa Musa in the UK. Now, this one, somebody has sent me this one from, what's the name? Musa Superior. And the person thought it was an interesting, commentary on what he makes of the by-election and its outcome. Now, he says that reflections on Akwatia by-election. It's about 3 paragraphs. Please bear with me. Now, the Akwatia by-election has been a sobering moment for the New Patriotic Party. We went into this contest with a strong presence on the ground and the active involvement of our flag-bearer hopefuls. By all measure, we fought a determined fight, yet the outcome did not favor us. Now, while disappointing, it should not overshadow the commendable efforts our party operatives and volunteers put into the election. In the aftermath of the polls, I have observed a troubling trend. Some of our own members who before and during the election were confident of an MPP victory have now shifted to dismiss the outcome as a simple function of Akwatia being a swing constituency. Others claim the NDC won merely because they are in government and that we would have won had we been in power. I strongly reject this narrative. Such reasoning risks diluting the seriousness of the lessons we must draw from this defeat. If we truly intend to reclaim Akwatia in 2028, we cannot hide behind excuses. We must confront reality with honesty and resolve. Equally important, we must put to rest the notion that Dr. Bawumia was the reason for our loss. Elections are won and lost by parties, not by individuals alone. To scapegoat our 2024 flag bearer is both unfounded and unfair. As a party, we must have the courage to accept the outcome, take responsibility, and chart a stronger path forward. Our way forward must begin with humility. The MPP must apologize sincerely to the Ghanaian people. We cannot pretend that our 8 years in government were without mistakes. Those mistakes are still vivid in the minds of Ghanaians, and the sooner we acknowledge them, the sooner we can begin to rebuild trust. Party leadership, both current and aspiring, must ground their campaign in humility, apology, and reconnection with the base, which unfortunately is completely dysfunctional. We must not cede the national conversation to the NDC. It is our duty to hold them accountable for their unfulfilled promises and expose the widening gap between the rhetoric and delivery. The Ghanaian people deserve a credible alternative, and it's our responsibility to provide it. Finally, let us reflect on how we treat data and research. It is one thing to challenge polls we believe to be flawed. It is another to dismiss them altogether. Polling outcomes, particularly those from credible institutions, must be studied with seriousness. To ignore them is to deny ourselves valuable insights that could sharpen our strategy. The Akwatia by-election is not the end. It is a wake-up call. If we embrace humility, responsibility, and strategic thinking, the MPP can and will rise again. Now, Mohammed Mutala writes, and he also says, it is Musa Danquest's time. He's proving himself in the polls they do at Global Info Analytics credible. As a party, let's start taking him seriously. Even if we wouldn't, we should caution miracles. I don't know what miracles are. I think there's always a back and forth between miracles and Musa, against publicly poo-pooing the man's work. It's okay to disagree with him, but to undermine his work in the way Dennis does isn't exactly helpful. The former vice president is reputed as a data person. His aide should not be seen publicly refuting data empty-handed. This is politics. Perception matters. You might dismiss these things as a stretch, but people can hold DMB vicariously liable. In the end, he has got more to lose than Miracles Abaji, whose face wouldn't be on the ballot paper in 2028 or 32. Okay. Now, Musa Dankwa himself sent this ones to us. He says, the good news from MPP from yesterday's by-election in Akwatia is that the party did not suffer from voter apathy. Lessons here. Do not take the vote you get in the election to be your party supporters. It is always a coalition of voters. The exit poll shows that of the votes Kumi won the 2024 election with, 83% were MPP voters, 13% were NDC, 3% were floating voters, 1% were other political party supporters, and 1% did not disclose their party affiliations. The MPP defeat yesterday was caused largely by NDC voters who voted for NS Kumi in the 2024 election, but returned home to vote for their Bedu. Now, Yadom Boachi's 2024 defeat was caused by NDC voters and therefore a wise decision not to re-elect him for the by-election. While 40% of MP voters cited development as key issue, 61% of NDC voters cited development, and 61% of floating voters also cited development projects as their key issue of concern. Overall, 50% of respondents said development was their key priority. However, some MP voters who turned up yesterday abandoned Solomon Asumedu and voted for development and Bedu, according to the exit poll. You know, it was bashed for the exit poll because of what happened. So Ismaila Hooray Ali is back. He says, please, Honorable saying that when your party is in government, you'll be getting all types of different drinks, be it Coca-Cola, Fanta, and all types of different brands. But in opposition, even one bottle of Coke is a problem. Well, has he told you he can't afford a bottle of Coke? Ali. Anyway, so there's quite a number of, there's too many messages here. So Ebo Bachman of Alan's Movement for Change, he says, Moro, it's hard to believe that the MPP, after 8 years in government, went to Akwatia without being able to mention a single meaningful development project in the constituency as part of their campaign message. That is not just disappointing, it is embarrassing. They should bow their heads in shame. Akwatia, Aka 5 pe, and he wants to know that. Let's also check out what some of our viewers on Facebook are saying. So Ali Ibrahim, for instance, who's watching us on Facebook, says, we've all heard that on TV. From the interview with the residents, Markins and Kodia together with the macho men were removing posters of the NDC candidate. That's Ali Ibrahim, who's watching us on Facebook. Now, Francis Cranton says, thank you, Uncle Kwesi, for always being that true voice of patriotism, objectivity, and conscience. God bless you. And Tikai Odonko says, greeny morning to you and your panelists, especially Kwesi Pratt. Kelvin Niashon says, even a project started the early dawn of election, still you didn't win. I think he's talking about Asin North. Eric Ajioma, I believe I got the pronunciation correctly. The MP should put their house in order because in a democracy, opposition is very critical to our development. So please stay with us. This is Good Morning Ghana. When we return, there's a big conversation about the Chief Justice. Please don't go anywhere.
Chia winning Nara, me ding edge baby dapa, me dear sonko cran ebremo. Now the 20 animal with you and the egg Japan me de bremo. And no any some spices in here. And we wow no bebreo. Various flavors. Ubenya a yakko, Ubenya nemchi, you do good jollof woman and we get there. Ubenya you do quam, you do for you. Hot nako pibito. Na Emma with Gianni, and yet day. When you mean ya, you can your cocoa uncle for Eka.
Down your communication talk, we all enjoy Uduba, that Samu spices. One in the essence, no hi. I'm going to get that Samu spices in a BTA, Daddy so say. Samu spices, Moon Samu.
Samu spices, Yama chicken.
Samu spices, Nsaka in Ketwa, measure 10 grams. Yawa chicken, spaghetti, garlic and ginger, stew, and jollof, and the flavors. Alfodo bebre.
Samu spices, yes, Saka.
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other than Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. You're on a Kessie and in a kit one.
Samayo kendini, who be here, Semecha Sapapadia to Amame Manfo, Kel Charcoal's natural ingredients, and a bomb is several buying, a man is swing, Nesasu Mama Hotoso, a will beg you.
Kel Charcoal Toothpaste.
Happy
Choose Kel Charcoal Toothpaste for anti-cavity, whiter teeth, and fresher breath all day. Available in 80 gram and 150 gram. Grab yours today.
Kel, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
In life, choice is good, but choice plus safety is way better. Your safety and comfort is paramount. Under the cylinder recirculation model, you can buy LPG in a safe environment. All cylinders are inspected and maintained to the best safety standards, so your safety is assured. Just take your empty cylinder to the nearest exchange point and swap it for a filled cylinder. Different cylinder sizes will be available to meet your pocket size. Imagine cooking in a smoke-free environment. This will improve the health and well-being of you and your family. Choose LPG in a safer model of distribution. Cylinder recirculation model. Securing your safety. Creating more jobs. A message from the National Petroleum Authority under the patronage of the Ministry of Energy.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late? Of
course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. Yeah, you go feel the luckiest. Go feel from Georgia be luckiest. From not the pure cause she be luckiest. Yeah, you go feel be luckiest. No matter why you're lucky, everybody go feel be that luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Send your God down for boom. If you put it toy, so would the coming of the Son of Man be. Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompt and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
You're live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. I need to remind you again that the show is live on 94.1 FM. I do have Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr., who is a statesman and also a journalist, and Isa Husseini, who is a former member of parliament for the Akwatia North Constituency. Now, before we delve into my next topic, let me read something to you. Let me just read something to you. So I'm looking at Ghana's constitution and I'm looking at Article 146. And here I'm talking 146, where it talks about removal of justices of superior courts and chairmen of regional tribunals. Now, we'll start with one. A justice of the Supreme Court or Superior Court or a chairman of a regional tribunal shall not be removed from office except for stated misbehavior or incompetence or on ground of inability to perform their functions or the functions of his office arising from infirmity of body or mind. Now, we'll jump and go all the way to Article 1469, where it says the president shall, in each case, act in accordance with the recommendations of the committee. Okay, so this would help us put our conversation in its proper context. Now, the newspapers today have looked at various angles to the issue about the former Chief Justice or the outgone Chief Justice. Here I'm talking about Justice Gertrude Araba Esaba Saki Tokono. And if you look at the Daily Statesman, for instance, it talks about Chief Justice dismissal unfair. Justice Ofae Kufu likens process to treason trial. Okay. And there's another article that says Ghana's democracy in peril, all power to King Mahama. The Daily Guide says nation divided over CJ removal. Yes. Political division is what I'm talking about. Politically divided. And Tokonu removal, judicial coup, according to the minority. Now, there's an official position by the minority on this matter. And you look at the Herald. The Herald says, ex-CJ, Sufaya Ekufu, stripped by her 2 landmark rulings, caught two-tongued in Tokonu's impeachment. I'll look at two paragraphs each of the various angles that have been taken by the various newspapers, or the newspapers that we have today. So I'll start with the Daily Guide. It talks about nation divided over CJ removal. Now, Jibril Abdulrazak of the Daily Guide says, no matter how many noises are made, the law is the law. And the only answer we can give to all the hand waving is the legal answer, unless we want something else. It's a quote that is famously attributed to the sacked Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu. However, it appears the law was not the law when she appeared before the committee constituted by President John Dramani Mahama to probe 3 petitions calling for her removal, as many Ghanaians have criticized the government for her removal, suggesting she was unfairly dealt with. Some have even suggested that the entire process, right from the filing of the petitions, constitution of the committee, and the hearing itself, it's a well-orchestrated scheme to remove her, which has been well executed. Justice Tokonu herself had criticized the heavy-handedness of the committee, challenging its approach to the probe, while accusing it of bias and human rights breaches. There are, however, those who are of the opinion that the reasons assigned to removal are consistent with the dictates of the 1992 Constitution. Okay? And the decision, as was bound by law, to follow the recommendation of the committee in line with Article 1469 of the Constitution. That's why I read it. Now, the decision by the President to remove the Chief Justice, Tokonu, as the head of the Judiciary in line with Article 1469, generated heated arguments from the moment the decision was announced by the President or the Presidency. What has generated even more criticisms are the 3 main reasons why the Gabriel Poamon Committee recommended that she be removed. Now, President John Dramani Mahama removed Justice Gertrude Tokonu from office as the nation's Chief Justice on Monday, September 1, 2025, following the receipt of the report of a 5-member committee that probed a petition filed against her. She became the first ever Chief Justice to be removed from office following the recommendation of a committee probing allegations of misconduct and misbehavior. Now, prior to her removal, she was suspended by the President on April 22, following the setting up of a 5-member committee after the Council of State made a prima facie finding against her. Now, these are the key findings. The committee made 3 key findings, including one that Justice Tokonu caused the Judicial Service to pay travel expenses for her husband and daughter during private holiday trips in 2023, including per diem allowances. The report described this as avoidable and reckless dissipation of public funds. The committee also held that Justice Tokonu's handling of the transfer of one Mr. Bedi breached the use of discretionary power under Article 296A and B of the Constitution, hence constituted misbehavior. Finally, the report found that the removed Chief Justice sought to bypass the established process for nominating justices of the Supreme Court, contrary to precedent set in the Ghana Bar Association case. This was also labeled as misbehavior. And it goes on and on and on and on, and walks us through the series of events, okay, or the chronology of events. That's the word I was looking for. Now, look at the Daily Statesman. The former Chief Justice, Justice Sufaya Kufu, has weighed in on this matter. And her story is on page 8. Okay? And she says that, okay, no, it's not actually. Let me see. Okay. I thought I read that. Okay, let me just look at this. Oh, I thought I saw this story. I read the story this morning. Okay, I'll find it. I'll find it. But let's look at the minority's position on this matter before I bring you in. The story is on page 6 of today's paper. Pardon me. Okay. So, Tokonu removal, judicial coup, minority. Now, Ernest Kofi is writing that it's reporting that a minority in Parliament has condemned the removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu from office, describing the decision by President John Dramani Mahama as a judicial coup clothed in flawed constitutional procedures. In a statement issued and signed by John Darko, Member of Parliament for Swami and Legal Counsel to the Minority Caucus, the opposition argued that September 1, the date of the removal must be commemorated as the day the judicial branch of Ghana's political institution was finally subjugated by the executive. Now, the caucus said it had long been aware of alleged plans by the administration to oust the Chief Justice, but had hoped that the President would refrain from taking such steps for the sake of the nation. The statement warned that the move represented a flagrant assault on the judiciary and signaled a dangerous weakening of state institutions. According to the minority, Ghana has now joined the unenviable group of nations like Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, which have removed their Chief Justice for political purposes. The caucus linked the decision to earlier remarks by senior figures of the ruling party, including National Chairman Johnson Asiedu Nketia, who the minority MPs claim had pledged during the 2024 campaign to remove the Chief Justice Tokonu and the Electoral Commission's chairperson. The minority insisted that the dismissal of the Chief Justice was driven by politics rather than law, asserting it has everything to do with the President's inordinate desire to control all the levers of government. So, I want to end with this before I bring you. I beg you. It's very important. So, this story which the Herald today reports, it says former Chief Justice Sophia Kufu has criticized the process that led to the removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Araba Saki Tokonu, stating that her successor was not given a fair hearing and insisting that the allegations that led to the removal were not strong enough to justify her dismissal by President John Dramani Mahama. Notably, Justice Ekufu, the second woman to hold the position of Chief Justice after Justice Theodora Wood, was among Justice Tokonu's 12 witnesses who appeared before the 5-member committee under Article 146 Committee of Inquiry chaired by Justice Gabriel Scott Poama. Interestingly, Justice Ekufu's ruling in the landmark case of Ejetum versus Attorney General and Akwatia was cited in the petition of Daniel Ofori, owner of Whitechapel Ghana Limited and one of the largest shareholders in Ecobank Ghana Limited. She was quoted alongside Dr. Samuel Dateba, JSC, and the late Professor Justice Tewo Modibo Okran, JSC, making it clear in the Ejetum case that the Chief Justice Administrative Act are not immune from the impeachment process. Now, Sophia Kufu, who is currently serving on the Council of State, is singing from a different hymn book following the removal of Chief Justice Tokonu, including Justice Ekufu, describing the impeachment as troubling for the independence of the judiciary. But the Herald's findings saw Justice Ekufu eating back her words while commenting on the dismissal. The ex-Chief Justice strangely ignored the payments made to Mr. Francis Kofi Tokonu, husband of the dismissed Chief Justice, and Ms. Tokonu, their daughter, Edem S. Tokonu, who is also recorded to have been awarded a procurement contract by the Judicial Service chaired by her mother. Justice Tokonu had faced the committee on an arbitrary decision, flagrant disregard for court orders and abuse of office, including summoning court officials into her office and directing them on what to do with respect to people's cases. Justice Tokonu, as Chief Justice, was accused of misappropriating the sum of 261,890 of public funds in 2023 for the benefit of their private foreign travel with her husband, Mr. Tokonu, and her daughter, Ms. Edem S.A. Tokonu, and $30,000 per diem allowance when, to her knowledge, neither the husband of the Chief Justice nor the Chief Justice's daughter were entitled to have their travel or any travel allowances paid for out of funds of the judicial service. And it goes on and on and on and on and on to give us a background to why she's been removed. Akwesi, your thoughts? Bad precedent or the law is a law? Constitution in action?
First of all of these allegations and figures which are being bandied around, there's no way of authenticating them. Because as prescribed by the Constitution, the proceedings were in camera. The petition was not supposed to be made public. The hearings were not supposed to be made public, and so on. So all of these figures, allegations, and so on, how am I supposed to authenticate them? You understand? If we are following the Constitution, the letter of the Constitution, there's no way of authenticating these things which are being bandied about and so on, both for and against. For me, there are interesting things. One, Justice Gabriel Foreman has said publicly that they considered 10,000 pages of evidence before coming to this conclusion. I mean, he's talking 10,000 pages of evidence. I mean, that's not small. That's huge. According to the Committee of Inquiry, the Chief Justice, the former Chief Justice, had 4 lawyers. The petitioner had 4 lawyers. So there were 8 lawyers involved in this process. That's very interesting. On the committee itself sat 2 Supreme Court judges, 2 Supreme Court judges on the committee itself. And those 2 Supreme Court judges, you know, really, by assumption, should know the law as well as all those who are commenting on the matter. They're Supreme Court judges. That's the apex court in this country. 2 of them sat on this committee of inquiry. Now, from what we have been told, Justice Tokonu called 12 witnesses, including expert witnesses. The petitioner called 13 witnesses, including expert witnesses. That's not a matter to be taken lightly. You understand? The committee itself, in addition to having 2 Supreme Court judges on it, also had a former Auditor General on it. This is not a matter to be taken so lightly as it's being played around with and so on. Then, for me, the most important thing is that President Mahama has made no decision in this matter. He's made no decision whatsoever. In fact, the Constitution says, and this is Article 146.10. So, where is this place? I'll find it. Yes, Article 146.9. It says, the President shall in each case act in accordance with the recommendations of the committee. So the President is not given any leeway at all. The Constitution says that whatever the committee decides, the President must implement. So on the basis of this Constitution, the President is not a decision maker. He's an implementer of decisions. It's clear in this Constitution. So you cannot make the claim that the President decided to sack the Chief Justice. Once the committee said that the Chief Justice has misconducted herself and had to go, the President can only let her go. The President cannot disagree with the committee. That is the position. You understand? Now, yesterday, I listened to Mr. Akumia, Nana Akumia, and he made a very interesting submission in which he said that, look, as far as he's concerned, the dismissal of the Chief Justice is lawful. It's in accordance with the law and the provisions of the Constitution. His problem is that the drafters of the Constitution did not give us a good Constitution. Wow. That's an interesting submission. Now, on 7th of January 2025, President John Mahama took the oath of office, which was administered by the same Chief Justice. What was contained in that oath of office? What was contained in that oath of office was that he would defend this constitution.
Uphold and defend.
Uphold and defend this constitution. That oath was administered by the Chief Justice who has been dismissed. And he promised, he swore on the Bible that he would uphold and defend this constitution. What is doing now? Is it different from what is contained in his presidential oath? Is he not upholding and defending the constitution? In fact, are we expecting him to violate the constitution? Why? We are the same people who insist on the rule of law, don't we? All of a sudden, the rule of law doesn't mean anything anymore. I don't understand what is being said. Besides, if you read what is attributed to the former Chief Justice, her ladyship, Sophia Akufu, what she's saying is that the gravity of the offense, she's not saying that nothing wrong happened, but she's saying that what happened is not severe enough to warrant the removal of the chief. But something happened. As for severity, you and I can disagree. We can disagree on threshold and something. If you're saying that nothing happened, she did nothing wrong, and so on, fine. But in any case, her views, even when she sat as Chief Justice, there were cases in which other panel members, other Supreme Court judges disagreed with her on a panel that she presided over. Sure. So, what is the value of her view? The value of her view is the value of a former Chief Justice's view on a matter, constitutional matter. You understand? That's all there is, nothing more. In fact, the Constitution says that she is not the one who determines who must be removed or who must stay. The Constitution says that that determination is made by a 5-member committee, 3 of whom should not be lawyers, should not be members of parliament, and so on. They make the determination, not former Chief Justices. And the determination has been made. Pardon? Master, pardon?
The former emphasis on who makes the decision.
Did the Constitution say that former Chief Justice?
No, I can't see that in Article 146. I cannot see that.
So you agree with me?
Not Article 146.
So you agree with me?
So. No, I can't. I say I can't see that.
Thank you.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with you.
But if the Constitution doesn't say that former Chief Justice should make that determination, and I say that, how can you disagree with me?
Oh, that necessarily I don't.
Okay. So, Master, this matter is so straightforward. So straightforward, I don't see why we are. If we don't like what is in the Constitution, let us amend the Constitution. Because we expect every president, every and any president, to uphold this Constitution. Okay. You understand? And besides, at least there's a precedent. Or there are precedents. We removed the chairperson of the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, not so. We removed Charlotte Osei, and so on, not so. What procedures were used? Same procedures. So why are we complaining? Master, let's move on and discuss something.
Do you agree with Anakomia? Nothing. There was no breach of the Constitution. Is that the Constitution is inadequate?
I don't think essentially that's what Nana Akwatia sought to say.
Okay.
But I agree with the minority stance that yesterday was a sad day, and September 1 going forward should be a day that we should commemorate. You see, in the rule of law, the fundamental value, independence and impartiality of the judiciary. Yesterday in Akwatia, I saw Sofo Azoka shove his hand into the face of Chairman Masaud. It wasn't a case of muscles. It wasn't a case of muscles, but Chairman Masood should have some respite. He has to have something he can lean on to protect him. And that is what we sought to do in the rule of law. Who else? There are three arms of government. For me, having had the privilege of being in Parliament, it scares me that the head of one arm of government is able to sack. I think that was it. To sack or dismiss the head of another arm. You see? Oh, no, I have one here. And I've read thoroughly this. You see, since yesterday, I have seen...
What was that for? You're giving
no, he was telling me, he was giving me the Constitution. What was that for? He wanted me to read what?
You're showing him the Constitution.
Article 146. I have read it.
It's important for him to make reference to it.
I have read it.
Okay.
And you see...
The powers exercised by the president are conferred on him by the Constitution.
All right.
That is not in dispute. That is not in dispute.
It is the Constitution which is unfortunate, not the president or his actions.
You see, there are two key stages for me in this whole process, right? The determination of a prima facie case and the predetermined decision of a committee. These are points probably of no return. Once you get there, no return. Look, to borrow the words of Honorable Hassan Tampuli, he had said on another platform that, look, the pronouncements that the NDC made in opposition, look, if they found Justice Tokono buying cocoa on the street, they will find a way to rope that act and find a reason to dismiss her. They have told us. And so for us and for some of us, this is a political decision. It is a political decision. And it scares me that what the values that holds our rule of law is being tempered with. For me, that's how I see it. Why do I say so? I say so because, look, with the three arms of government, there are checks and balances. And I shudder to think that the framers of the Constitution had this in mind. It is also instructive to note that the just immediate past Chief Justice is saying that, look, there might have been some anomalies then, right? But does the threshold meet the taking of such a decision? That is what we should ask ourselves. Look, in this whole process, we've heard the Ghana Bar Association, we've heard the Commonwealth Association of Lawyers. I've seen people dismiss all of what they said. But you see, importantly for me, is the fundamental values that we are toying with. How will the judges feel this time if an opposition person like myself goes to court with a case, the judge knowing that he is at the mercy of the executive? Human as we are.
Why would the judge feel that he's at the mercy of the executive?
We have seen it.
How?
We have seen it. We have seen what that. Look, nobody can convince him. Nobody can convince him. And given the issues that came up in this petition as to the alleged misappropriation of public funds, the posting of a judicial service staff, and what's the third one? The third one is
no, just go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a third one. There's a third one. I mean, interference in appointment of judges.
Yes.
I mean, as to whether they get the threshold is something that, you see, instructively, somebody just sent me an article on the 8th of September.
Who determines the threshold? That threshold you're talking about, who determines?
Oh, that's why. I'm sure that's why the committee was set up. And so the committee had, irrespective of the number of pages they reviewed, irrespective of the judge, the witnesses that were called, irrespective of the number of lawyers that represented both the petitioner and the respondent, there's a decision. And I've said that there are two crucial stages. The determination of the prima facie, which the president, in consultation of the Council of Staff, did. At the time, they took a decision and went ahead to form a committee. And like you're saying, I mean, per the constitutional provisions, whatever decision that the committee arrives, the president will have to implement it, like we all understand, right? But you see, on the 8th of September 2018, in the Charlotte Osai matter, Mr. Kwesi Pratt here had said, it's reported on Ghana news pages that President Akufo-Addo should have applied home sense. I tried sending you the article. I tried sending you the article. You see, that is why I went on to determine where the president, right, could have. And there's an element of discretion in there.
Masa, hold on.
When President Akufo-Addo was in office and a petition was brought, he reviewed it and found no basis and he dismissed it summarily. So he didn't even go ahead to form, in consultation with the Council of State.
Yeah, but that was his view.
That was his view.
Yes, that was his view.
That was his view.
And he's entitled to.
You see,
I'll be fair to you.
No, I'm sure you get an opportunity.
Because you don't explain the basis for what you said.
I have the article. Mr. Kwesi Pratt here said that Nana Akufo-Addo should have applied home sense.
Yes. No, he would explain
and that is why it's also instructive that the immediate past Chief Justice is saying that there might have been anomalies. The inclusion of the former auditor,
Domelevo,
when he was in office, he would go to Public Accounts Committee. When there were infractions on public funds and all of that, people were given the opportunity to refund. So what's in this case? Is it the intention? Is it the political decision that the party, the National Democratic Congress had taken already that overshadowed whatever leeway, whatever discretion they could have exercised? It was a predetermined thing.
Okay.
And like I said, look, Justice Tokono could have been fired for buying cocoa on the street because it is already set up. It is already predetermined that when we come to office, this is an action we are going to take.
All right.
And you can always find ways to do it. Look, the transfer or relocation of judicial staff, it happens in our administration. Look, not too long ago, I was on a platform where we were discussing similar things for even Cocoa Board.
Okay.
For Cocoa Board, we were discussing similar things.
Okay.
It happened a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
I dare everyone listening to us this morning, with the mismanagement of public funds, let's put the head of our legislature and the head of executive to the same litmus test. Let us put them to the same litmus test and see what will happen.
Let me give the 2 minutes left to Mr. Kwesi Pratt.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. First of all, nobody is preventing you from putting the head of the legislature and the executive to any litmus test. If you have evidence, put it.
Okay.
Don't come and sit down and say, if you put them to litmus test, they will fail. Put them to litmus test and let's see whether they are going to fail or not.
Okay.
Now, since yesterday, I've noticed all of you NPP communicators are going around with this thing from Peace FM online.
Yes.
That I had said.
That's from Ghana Web.
Or Ghana may have picked it from Peace FM online. That's fine. Whichever one.
It's Peace FM online.
It's the same
all of you.
That's
fine. Is it by accident that all of the NPP communicators are going around with this thing in their pocket? Hold on.
You're not telling us that you didn't say that.
Hold on. Please hold on.
Yes, sir.
All of you are going around with this thing in your pocket. And you think that justifies your claim?
Okay.
If you have a fight to the Constitution, come and prove that what the Constitution says is not what has been done, not what I said.
Okay.
Even if I said that, how does that justify the position that you have taken? Am I God?
All right.
Now you want to hold on.
Our insistence is that under Nana Akufo-Addo, you had a stance.
So let's say
claiming that he should have applied home sense. This time you are not talking about home sense. You're looking at the mechanics in the Constitution, forgetting that the Constitution is about letter and spirit.
You're stealing his 2 minutes.
Sorry.
Let us assume that I'm a hypocrite.
Okay.
Let us assume that what I said is not consistent with what I'm saying today.
Okay.
Is that the justification for the position we have taken? So if you prove that I'm a hypocrite, what have you proven? That the Constitution does not allow the president to implement the decisions of a committee.
All right.
What is this?
I get it.
In any case,
time is up.
If you are to go to social media and pick things and put it on people, Master, you will all be running out of
You're not telling us that you didn't say that or you didn't hold that position at the time.
That word, home sense.
Yes.
I would never use that expression.
Okay. It's an inverted, it was reported in inverted comments. And probably you are not spoken in English. I don't know. You are not telling us that you didn't say that. You are not telling us that you didn't say that.
All right. So what does inverted comments mean?
Okay, that's fine.
Oh, if you say...
Forget it. So thank you very much for your time. Isa Husseini, a former MP for Kaikwe North, and also Mr. Kwesipra Jr., a journalist and a statesman. My name is Audu Moro. Thanks for watching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Are you a Ghanaian business ready to conquer new frontiers? From October 23rd to 25th, 2025, Ghana Fest Europe is your direct bridge to the lucrative Dutch and broader European markets. This